Right, thank you. Hi, I'm Brian Lepak. I am chair of the law, I have to say co-chair along with Dean Sherwin of the Law Practice Management and Technology section of the Beverly Hills Bar Association. We welcome you to today's program called Harnessing the Power of Social Media for Your Law Firm. Today's speaker is Bella Graham, who is the digital marketing manager of Beverly Hills Bar Association. Before I turn the program over to her, I want to let you know that you can always look at the Beverly Hills Bar Association website to see what upcoming programs exist for the Law Practice Management and Technology section. We have a program coming up on November 4th about TrialPad, how to use TrialPad, and that will be presented by attorney Tony Storm. If you have any ideas for future CLE programs, feel free to contact me. You can contact me at brian@lepakfamilylaw.com or Dean Sherwin at dean@deansherwin.com, and Sherwin is SERWIN. And or you can get our email address through the BHBA website. And we welcome any ideas you have for programs. If you have any questions during this program, feel free to use the question and answer button on the bottom of your screen, and Bella will do her best to answer questions. There should be time at the end of this program for your questions. And thank you for being here. Now I turn the program over to Bella.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that introduction. Welcome everyone to today's program. I'm going to be sharing how you can utilize the power of social media to attract new clientele and leads, as well as increase the brand visibility of your firm. I'll also be giving a brief overview of LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and how you can strategically utilize all of those platforms to their fullest potential. And then there will be ample time for Q&A at the end. So if at any point you have a question during this presentation, please write it down or enter it into the Q&A box, and then I'll go through and review them all at the end. So give me 1 second and I will pull up the presentation. Okay, let's get started. So first, I'm going to start and end my presentation by discussing strategy. In order to be successful on social media, you need to have some sort of content machine, which is a repeatable, scalable system that allows your content to be created consistently, as well as produce predictable results. The end goal for you is to create this machine of multiple social media platforms that feed each other, with the outcome of being able to generate more brand awareness, which will lead to more traffic and customers coming to your website, and as a result, secure more sales and clients. The first step that you really need to take is just knowing that social media strategy can be a full-time job. You really need to ask yourself what roles and skills are needed to create your content machine. The first role I'm going to talk about is the thought leader. This is typically where all the ideas come from, and this person is usually the face or the brand of the company in terms of what we're discussing today, which is how attorneys can utilize social media to build their practice. That person is probably you. This position is pretty hard to outsource, so no matter what, this person will probably always be you. Next in command is the person that is required to keep your content machine running. This is your content director or social media manager. This person is managing and scheduling your content. If you're in a position to hire someone, this can be outsourced, but if you're just starting out, again, this person can also likely be you. The third person required to keep this content machine running is your editor. This is the person that is actually creating your content, meaning they're editing the videos and are writing the script. They could also be a graphic designer or copywriter, but I'm just using the term editor as a catch-all. Again, if you're a solo, this is probably you, but the good news is that this role is probably the easiest one to outsource. And last, there is your distributor or the person who makes sure that your content appears on multiple platforms. This could be you, but it could also be your social media manager. So this overlaps with role number 2, or it could be a virtual assistant. This person's role or skill is to make sure that your content reaches as many people as possible. As the digital marketing manager for BHBA, I handle all of these roles, so it is entirely possible. However, as a solopreneur, it can be a struggle to manage your business full-time and also try to manage social media. So it's essential that you set proper expectations and understand these core positions and skill sets. To maintain your content machine, you realistically need to fill all of these positions. If you are in a position to outsource, I do recommend that you do that so you can focus on the most important tier, which is at the top, being the thought leader. And finally, I recommend that you don't overwhelm yourself trying to be on all platforms at once. There's way too many social media platforms. Choose 2 and master those 2, and then you can expand, which leads me to the next slide. These are the platforms I'm going to focus on today, which I think are really geared for you to grow on social media. The first is LinkedIn. It's good for growing your audience. YouTube, it's good for building trust and establishing credibility. TikTok is good for discoverability, and Instagram is good for your brand presence and cohesiveness. I'm going to go through each of these 4 platforms and give you more details about how you can leverage each one. So let's start with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is what I call the audience grower. The first part to mastering LinkedIn is to think of it as more than just a place where you keep up with your colleagues' job changes. For attorneys, it can be one of the most powerful social media platforms in your toolbox. One great feature of LinkedIn is creator mode, which is a profile setting for LinkedIn members who create content regularly and want to grow an audience with their content specifically. The creator mode setting enables members to create and publish content in various formats and focuses on creating a following by highlighting that person's content activity. You can turn on creator mode. Everyone has access to it. All you have to do is just go to your LinkedIn profile. By default, it will be off. It should be like right under your picture. If you click on it and toggle it to on, it'll be turned on. After turning it on, follow will be the primary action on your profile, and you'll have a follower count. So when people, usually they go like request to become a connection, it will say follow instead. Turning on this creator mode also allows you to select and display 5 different hashtags below your headline, which shows your followers the topics that you focus on. So if you are a family law attorney or you specialize in divorce, you can use those hashtags, hashtag family law, hashtag divorce, things like that, just so people know when they come to your profile, this is what you specialize in. You can also film a 30-second video as your profile picture, and that will automatically play when someone lands on your page. There's no sound, but it's more engaging than just having a static picture. So you may have seen people with their flashing video picture profile on LinkedIn. It's just a fun way to get people's attention. As I mentioned before, instead of a connect button, you'll have a follow button. And for every post you create, a follow button is placed in the top right corner of your post. This is a great tool for people who may view your posts that are reshared by other users. So if someone was to reshare your post onto their timeline, they don't have to go to your profile to follow you. They can follow you straight from that post. Your profile's feature section is also placed higher at the top, and it features selected posts encouraging people to follow your content. And your activity section will feature your posts instead of your engagement activity. You may have noticed on LinkedIn, in your engagement activity, it may say that you like someone post. That won't show anymore. It will only show the posts that you have created. So if you're noticing a reoccurring theme, there is a theme, and that's that it's all about creating content and growing your network with fans of your posts. The whole point of creator mode is for you to publish content on the platform in a variety of ways, making it easy to cultivate an audience. You'll have the ability to publish two types of content. You'll be able to publish your own LinkedIn newsletter, which will be sent out to all of your followers. And you'll also have access to live stream on your profile. Live streaming is just when you do like a live video stream to all of your followers. Before creator mode was available, you needed to apply for these features and only certain people had them. But now anybody can do creator mode. It's all available when you turn on the setting. The newsletter in particular is a great way for people to understand your expertise better, as well as your thought leadership. If appropriately strategized and scheduled consistently, it's an excellent way to stay top of mind and also get into people's notifications every time you publish a newsletter. Your connections on LinkedIn will get a notification. And you might be wondering, why do I need followers on LinkedIn? Why does it matter? These are your future clients and your referrers. They may not need your services today, but by regularly seeing you in their feed, they become familiar with you and your firm. Not only that, it opens the door to speaking or even event hosting opportunities. You never know who may be following you. It could be a journalist who wants to interview you for a story, or a colleague who wants to interview you on their podcast. The most important thing you can do on LinkedIn is to expand your professional reputation so that it precedes you. And these opportunities will start coming to you with this creator mode. As an added bonus, you can also invite other people to be guests or co-host on your live stream. So when you go live stream with your video and you invite someone to be your guest, then not only will your audience see that you're live, their audience will see that you're live, and adding them to your live brings awareness of your professional brand and exposes you to a new audience. Now let's go to the second platform, which is YouTube. YouTube is the trust builder. As you all know, YouTube is a video sharing platform, but the real beauty of YouTube is its audience growth potential due to its algorithm and its ability and its ability to allow you to connect with your audience in a parasocial manner that builds trust. If you're not familiar with a parasocial relationship, it's essentially a one-sided relationship that a media user engages in with a media persona, which would be you. So by definition, media users are the ones who consume or watch content online. By doing so, they form parasocial relationships with celebrities or social media influencers, which is essentially what you will become, that they encounter through media, including podcasts or social media platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's kind of like a friendship-like bond between the media user and their favorite persona, but it's a one-way friendship. Only one of them is aware that the other exists. So that's just a long-winded way of saying they feel like they know you. How does this play into YouTube? Well, YouTube allows your visitors, who are also your potential customers, to build both a relationship and trust with you. With YouTube, which allows long form content, you can immediately build trust in one 10-minute video, whereas on other platforms, it might take many short posts or videos to achieve the same goal. And that's why the potential for YouTube should be one of your top priorities. Not to mention YouTube's algorithm, which will also mention your video when users watch similar videos. So for instance, if someone is watching a video on establishing a trademark, when it ends, YouTube will automatically suggest and play similar videos. So if you also made a video about, what are some of the things that you need to establish a trademark, the higher you rank in YouTube, the more of your videos will be suggested to that person. As a plus, you can also earn money on YouTube through AdSense. AdSense is YouTube's ad network and service that allows brands, content creators, and influencers to earn money from their YouTube channel. So AdSense is where marketers and advertisers buy ad space on your YouTube video, and they show ads on your videos. YouTube will embed these ads into your video content, and it generates revenue when users either view your video or click on the advertisement. So as a creator, you'll receive a percentage of the revenue share from the ads placed on your YouTube content. I think right now under YouTube's revenue split, the creator gets 55%, and then Google and YouTube are the same, gets 45%. As an attorney, earning revenue through AdSense on YouTube probably isn't your primary goal, but it's a nice bonus. That revenue that you earn could be capital that you utilize to expand your social media presence, maybe even hire a social media manager or editor to help you with your content. So, I mean, everyone likes extra money, right? So that's great. Next, we have TikTok. TikTok is what I call the discovery engine. What I personally find fascinating about TikTok is multiple recent studies have emerged which state that TikTok is swiftly replacing Google as a search engine. That means instead of going to Google to search or discover something, people are flocking to TikTok to discover new restaurants or things to do in their area. Typically things that people would search for on Google, more and more people are going to TikTok to search for those things. Of course, this is a little generational. It does depend on age, as these studies primarily surveyed millennial and Gen Z users. However, it was shown that older users are picking up on this trend of using TikTok as a search engine. It's just being adopted at a little bit of a slower pace. So what does this mean for you? Well, as an attorney, you should be using TikTok to present the answers to questions that users are searching for, and then harness that increased visibility for your personal brand and to attract new customers. So say, for instance, you're a family law attorney, you might want to post short videos on TikTok that someone who is going through a divorce might search for. Examples could include what you need to know before you file for divorce, or 5 things no one tells you about filing for divorce in California. These short videos aren't necessarily going to supply all the information that someone would need to know to be well informed of the entire divorce process, but it will pique their interest and perhaps inspire them to visit your website, or even better, visit your YouTube channel, where, as I just explained, you'll have like more in-depth videos on the topic and where they will establish more trust with you. So someone could initially find you on TikTok, go over to YouTube, where your objective is to establish credibility, and then approach you as a client because you've now established both discoverability on TikTok and then trust on YouTube. Now, just as a caution, TikTok is not by any means a good platform for establishing an audience who is going to be engaged and watch all of your videos. That's just not the way TikTok works. Due to the way TikTok's algorithm is set up, TikTok functions more as an entertainment platform than a place to get invested in one creator. So people are kind of just watching random videos from different people. They don't really care to consistently watch the same videos from the same person. And if someone follows you on TikTok, there's a chance that even though they're following you, they still may not see your videos because TikTok pushes other videos up in the algorithm that they want to see. So A lot of people who are creators on TikTok complain about that. So that's just something to keep in mind. That's why I say use it for discoverability, but I wouldn't necessarily like really try to build an audience. That's why someone can have like 1 million viewers, users, followers on TikTok. The numbers don't really mean what people think they mean, because it's not the same as like having 1 million viewers on YouTube. It's not, they don't like transfer over in that same way. This is why someone can, if you look on someone's TikTok account, you can see that one video has like 20,000 views and another video only has 100 views. It's really not reliable. So the way you should think of TikTok and your content strategy and how you should use it in your content machine is to offer a way for new people to find you. Once they do, you want to move them away from TikTok. You don't want to keep them on TikTok. You want them to just locate you and then follow you somewhere else. You can do this by telling users to watch your YouTube channel for more in-depth topics or subscribe to your email newsletter, which I'm going to talk about later. TikTok is basically the shiny and new flashy platform right now, but it's important to keep this in mind. It's not really going to be your moneymaker. Instagram is the last platform I'm going to talk about. It doesn't really need any introduction. It's Instagram. I won't spend a lot of time here except to say that you need Instagram, not because it has value as a trust builder like YouTube, or because it's an audience grower like LinkedIn, or even because it has a discoverability engine like TikTok. To be frank, you need Instagram because your customers expect you to have it. In the grand scheme of social media, everyone can't be everywhere all the time. However, you should think of Instagram as like the cohesive platform that ties all your social media content together. Most brands and entrepreneurs have an Instagram, and unless someone is subscribed to like your email newsletter, Instagram is likely the place that someone will go to for updates or to see what you're working on. So Instagram needs to showcase a little bit about what you're doing everywhere else. You can repost some of the short videos from TikToks as Instagram Reels. Just make sure that you remove the watermark, because Instagram like demotes videos that have TikToks watermark in their algorithm, just a FYI. You can take short clips of your YouTube videos and you can post those on Instagram. And then you can encourage users to watch the full videos on YouTube. And most importantly, you can engage with your audience in stories. Stories is an Instagram feature where videos and posts disappear within 24 hours. And basically it requires less production value than something that might remain on your page forever. People typically just put a little less effort into stories because they know it's only going to be up for 24 hours. However, the real beauty of Instagram stories is the engagement. You can post polls, you can get feedback in real time about what your audience wants to see from you. You can also get feedback on upcoming products or services that you might launch or offer. There's so much that you can do in stories that isn't really available anywhere else, and it establishes consistency with your audience. On BHBA's Instagram channel, we regularly get anywhere from like 100 to 150 people tuning into our Instagram stories. I mean, that's a really good number for the amount of followers that we have. And so I've been using that just to engage and keep people up to date on what BHBA is doing. And so the last thing I'm going to touch on before we go to the Q&A is being strategic. From the very beginning, I established that having a strategy is an essential part of being successful, of generating leads, and boosting your brand presence on social media. Now I'm going to share how you can tie all of these things together with the ultimate tool in your content machine, which is an email newsletter. As I've shared, publishing on multiple platforms can be time consuming, especially if you don't have a team, and we don't want to waste time. We want to work smarter, not harder. Additionally, all social media platforms rely on algorithms, which are not controlled by us. The algorithms are constantly changing, and each inflection in the algorithm can affect our ability to grow and reach our audiences. However, with an email list, you have ultimate control over your audience. So that's why email is like king in terms of, it's not really a part of social media, but if you were to put them all together, like, do I want a follower on social media or do I want a subscriber to my email list? You want a subscriber to your email list. My recommendations on how to tie an email list into your overall social media strategy is to start with 2 social media platforms and aim to create 2 pieces of content per week. So I'm going to use LinkedIn and YouTube's as examples and present a smart, efficient way for you to break down the workflow by utilizing a newsletter. So if you're using LinkedIn and YouTube, your goal should be to create 1 long form written piece and 1 long form video. However, these 2 pieces of content can be repurposed in multiple ways. And when I say long form video, I mean at least 10 minutes, a 10-minute video. This is a strategic move, and I'm going to explain why you need to have this long form video. Say you start with a 10-minute video. Once you're done filming that video, of course, you're going to upload it on your YouTube, but you can also repurpose any tips that you may have mentioned in that video into shorter videos. So within that 10-minute video, you may be able to pull anywhere from like 3 to 5 short clips, and you cut them up into like 30-second to 1-minute video clips that you can post on TikTok, or you can post on Instagram as Reels. You can also post them as a YouTube short. What you can also do is you can transcribe that video and you can turn it into a LinkedIn newsletter post or an email newsletter. And you don't even have to do transcriptions yourself. Nobody wants to sit and like listen to the replay and pause and try to transcribe video. There are apps such as Descript or Veed.io, and I'll type this into the chat. Actually, it's already at the bottom, that you can use to automatically transcribe videos for you. And you can also edit on those apps and add captions to your video. This process that I've just described is using your pillar content, which is that 1 10-minute long form video and 1 long form written piece to create multiple micro pieces. You can do the same thing for your 1 long form written pillar content. So say you write an email newsletter, that email newsletter can be turned into a Twitter thread or quotes. You can then use those Twitter threads to post on your Instagram carousel. Instagram carousel is basically when you have like multiple pictures within one post and you just like swipe to the right to go through them. So for instance, say you write the email newsletter, you can use Twitter just to create your graphic or essentially your tweet. So you break up that newsletter into multiple tweets, you screenshot your tweet, and then you post those tweets on Instagram. I'm sure you've all probably seen a lot of people post like their tweets on Instagram. That's an easy way to like get content for your Instagram. A snippet from that same long form content can also be turned into a LinkedIn post. So you could take that copy, post it on LinkedIn, and you can even use that as bait to get people to subscribe to your newsletter. Something like at the end of the post, you can put, for more tips, subscribe to my email list or something like that. The whole purpose of having a strategy is to make your life easier. If you're solo, you're likely going to be handling your social media yourself until you can get someone to help you. Making short clips or micro content from pillar content takes considerably less time than creating something from scratch. And when you're creating from scratch, plus running a full-time practice, it's easy to run out of ideas. Using this strategy, you'll only need to create 2 pieces of content per week, which is highly efficient and doable. Now I am going to open up for questions. If anybody has any questions, I'll take those now. I'm gonna also stop sharing my screen.
I may
Let's-
help you out by asking some questions as well.
Okay.
If the audience isn't going to ask some questions, just to get some questions out there. But I do see that we have a question and answer, so maybe you want to address that one before we talk a little bit.
Let's read. Are there any empirical studies to show whether social media produces leads, hits? And if so, which platforms? There are a ton of studies. If you just Google studies on social media, there are so many for you to choose from. I would say that social media should not be your only strategy. It's not a direct sales channel. It's not like hiring a salesperson to go out and generate leads for you. It should be a supplemental. So in addition to things that you're already doing, you should consider it a supplement, but it absolutely can generate leads, especially if you're doing paid media, which I didn't touch on because we don't really have time to get into paid media, which is running ads on social media, but absolutely. Someone just said Twitter. I'm not sure what that, if you can type the rest of your questions. What apps or sites are suggested for scheduling posts? Later is a great one. That's what we use at BHBA. We actually use two. We use Later and Hootsuite. Those are pretty much the top apps for scheduling. And they essentially let you schedule across all platforms. So those would be my recommendations. Thoughts on Twitter strategies? Again, I think that's something that we really didn't get into today just because I was focusing mostly on the other platforms. If you are going to choose a platform, I recommend choosing two. I would not recommend Twitter being one of the two that you choose. As an attorney, I would recommend that you choose one of the other four just because of their potential for being discovered, potential for growing an audience. I would add Twitter in almost last after you've got everything going across all of the other platforms. So that's why I didn't include Twitter.
You didn't mention Facebook. Does that mean that you think Facebook is phasing out because people are more using Instagram than Facebook?
That's correct. Facebook is really great for groups. That's where I think the goal of Facebook is when you're in groups and when you're engaging, but Facebook is sort of dying out. And especially in terms of interacting with new people, a lot of people use Facebook to interface with people they're already connected to, their friends and their family. They're not necessarily looking to connect with people that they don't know unless it's in a group, which Facebook groups are good for that. So if you're going to utilize Facebook, I would join groups that are geared for attorneys. There are a lot of Facebook groups where people are specifically searching for attorneys, and they are area specific for like Los Angeles or Beverly Hills. I would recommend joining those Facebook groups. But on its own, I put Facebook alongside Twitter. Use that after you've established a presence on the other social media platforms. Someone asked, how is best to maintain a professional marketing campaign? There's a misconception sometimes that social media can be childish or unprofessional. I think that depends on how you present yourself. I think it can go both ways. Social media can be a blessing and a curse. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of talent managers and publicists who wish that their clients did not have social media because they're always posting stuff. Or I mean, even you attorneys, I'm sure you're just like, I told my client not to post on social media about his divorce, and now he is on social media doing exactly what I told him not to do. And so I think there is a little bit of accountability there of watching what you're posting and always being conscious that you have a brand that you're trying to maintain or represent. I think that there can be a fine line between sharing a little bit about yourself and inviting people to get to know you, but you still want to maintain boundaries because these are essentially strangers. So when you meet a stranger, you don't tell them your whole life story. You might share a little bit, and then as you get to know them, you share a little bit more. I think that is just like being accountable, and if there is a concern, you can also ask for a second opinion before you post, or even sleep on it overnight. Like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea. If it's still a good idea in the morning, then I'll post it. And hopefully, sitting on it and giving it some time should give you a little bit of clarity.
Is
Some
there some better ways of posting, such as if I'm an attorney, should I be posting from my office, images from my office, or more personal images? Should I be wearing a suit and tie, or should I be more casual? Should I include a little bit about myself? Or if I have a law firm, should I have a spokesperson, or should I have various individuals from the office posting so it's not the same person over and over again? Do you have any tips on those issues?
That's a great question. I think it depends on your brand. If you notice, like, some brands have a very personable type of brand. Like Wendy's is notorious for like tweeting out jokes or posting jokes. It's like a very down to earth type of vibe. That might not be the tone that you want to set for your law firm. So I think it depends on a little bit of who is your clientele. Is your clientele going to react better to you being like, oh, I feel like I can talk to this person, they're speaking in lay terms, the terminology is not going over my head? Or is your clientele are your clientele more so people who would react negatively to that and not enjoy those kind of things? I think that's like um a personal thing depending on your brand and who your audience is, who your clientele is. Um, if you have a little bit of celebrity clientele, I'm sure they might want you to have more discretion and not maybe post so much. So I think that depends. I think that there is a benefit to if you have like an office. I think there is a benefit of you posting pictures from your office, or maybe even doing lives from your office, how we talked about doing the LinkedIn lives. I think that aesthetics are something that always need to be considered in social media. Just be very mindful of like your lighting. If you have anything in the background, solid backgrounds are always better than busy backgrounds. So if you have a really nice office, you really only need like a corner to point your camera to. I would try to find like the best positioning, the best lighting, and just be mindful of that.
What about having a professional person be your spokesperson for your firm? Is there any thoughts on that versus having an actual person from the firm being a spokesperson?
A lot of brands do this, like having a spokesperson, and I think that it can be good. It can be good, but I think that there have been instances where brands have hired spokespersons, and then something came out about that spokesperson. It may have been in their distant past, but then it reflects negatively on the brand. So if you are going to have someone represent your brand, or it might not even be anything that they've done in the past. They might go off on their free time and like totally go off the edge and say something, and then you have to sort of like put a buffer between that person. A lot of a lot of people will have like someone that they have be a spokesperson sign ethics clauses, and say, you agree to these code of ethics if you're representing my company. And so there's a way out if they do or say something outside of that, you can put some distance between that. But if you're going to go that route, I definitely think that you should have a discussion at the very least and something in writing in terms of this is what our brand is about. These are the kind of things that would not be okay for us to be affiliated with, and just make sure that they're in alignment with that.
Seems to me there's a fine line between giving people some information which may attract them to watching you, but that's part of what we as attorneys do is sell our knowledge. So I
Mhm.
don't know how we keep the balance between giving up information. Here's how you do something, which is what we sell at the same time. You have any tips in how to best keep that balance between giving some information to attract viewers, but at the same time understanding that we sell that knowledge as part of our income?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, let me think of a real life example. I've seen a lot of, you don't have to necessarily position it as how to's. This is how you do something. You can use case examples of real life things that are going on in the media. So I've seen lots of people who specialize in trademarks. They might see something going on in the news where, because this person didn't establish a trademark for their brand, they spent all this time growing their business, and then something happened and they were not protected because they didn't establish that. Use that situation as like, this is what this person did wrong. You don't want to be like that person. So it doesn't have to always be like, this is how you do something. It could be like, this is what you don't want to do. You can draw on a lot of things that are going on in like popular culture to create content. And even if you were to give a little bit, I feel like you guys have decades or years, however long of experience you have. There's no 10-minute YouTube video that is going to translate all of that scope of knowledge into now I know everything that you know.
Is there any studies that you're familiar with as to whether it's likability of the person that people bond with, or their sense of knowledge of the subject matter? Is there something that should be more focused on having a nice smile versus having really good
Yeah.
ideas that are out there?
I think it's a combination of both, and it really just depends. That's the thing about social media. It really just depends on that particular viewer and what they're attracted to. Some people are very attracted to aesthetics, and some people are really attracted to like how the content actually looks, how well produced, how knowledge based it is. But again, I think it all goes back to who your audience is. For instance, in the past, I've worked with brands on different campaigns, and when you're working with influencers, for instance, brands just used to look at numbers. Oh, this person has 300,000 followers. They should be somebody that I should hire, right? To use to market my brand to. And it's like, no, you really have to look at who their audience is. For example, someone who's really attractive on social media, say it's a really attractive woman, and a beauty brand wants to work with her. You have to look at like, well, is her audience primarily men, or is it primarily women? Because yes, she has a big audience, but if you're selling beauty products, her audience is mostly men. They're not going to buy it. So you have to look at who you're trying to curate to, and what will attract them. There isn't like a pretty boxed up answer. You just have to start somewhere and reiterate as you get feedback. That's why I like Instagram stories, because you can ask, like after you post a video, you can say, hey, did you guys like this? Or what else would you like to see? You can do polls. I did a video on this. Would you want to see a video on this, this, and this? And you can also request feedback on YouTube. You can request feedback on any of these platforms. It really is a two-way street in the beginning of you putting something out there, and then listening to that feedback. In a way, it's kind of like having a minimum viable product. You put out your MVP, which might be a piece of content, and then listen to the feedback and then tweak it from there.
Is there suggestions on colors that we should be wearing or patterns? It should be solid colored shirts and do we need blazers or jackets like I'm wearing right now? Or,
Yeah.
or would ties turn people off because people aren't wearing ties anymore? Any tips on clothing that we should be wearing in doing our social media posts?
I think,
Makeup, hairstyle, any of that stuff.
yeah, I think the best thing that you can do is, as far as background, it's always great to have simple backgrounds. Um, and solid colors are great just because of how they show up on social media. I would also be conscious of like not wearing anything with logos in it. You you don't want to promote like other people's brands, so anything with logos in it. But again, that really depends on your audience. Some people are drawn to like bright colors, and they may feel more attracted to you and want to work with you as a client because of the color scheme that you're using. And then someone who is more conservative might say, I don't like those bright colors. I would, prefer if it's muted. Again, it's kind of hard to say, but at the end of the day, you have to be you, right? So I would stick with what's authentic. People know when something is not authentic, by the way you're speaking. They know this is not the way that you usually talk. Or I would say just be yourself. Um, and because you want your ideal clients, right? The people that you want to work with who are really attracted to you, they're going to be attracted to you for the way that you're coming across. So I would say authenticity is always a number one factor.
I see sometimes like on TikTok, there'll be a reference, hey, go to my Instagram page. Is that something you would suggest is to reference other social medias via your different social medias as a way of tying them together or getting people to go to more than one platform?
Definitely. On TikTok, you want to get them off of TikTok. As I mentioned, TikTok, even if someone follows you, your video may never pop up again for them and they're following you. It's something about the algorithm. Many people have complained about it. So you always want to, if you're posting on TikTok, get them over to another platform. Say, hey, I'm also on YouTube. I'm also on LinkedIn. The number one thing that you would want to do though is get them on your email newsletter. Emails are like gold and diamonds. Like once you have that, that's the real capital.
Well, how tacky is it to go back on your list of various clients and start adding them to a newsletter? Is it fair game that you have their email address to send out a newsletter and let them knock you off and say, no, thank you? Is that okay?
Yeah, so you might actually know a little bit more about this than me, but I believe there's a law in California where people have to give consent to be opted into your newsletter. Um, I'm not that familiar with the law, but you cannot just add people to your email list who have not opted in. It actually is a California privacy law.
What about posting social media access on your web page saying, hey, look, here's access to LinkedIn or to my Instagram page, or how much should I be posting on my web page of videos of things that I want my clients to see through my web page for my law firm?
Yeah, great question. At the very least, you should have links to all of your social media platforms on your website. So when people go, usually that's like on the home page. Most people have it like at the bottom or at the top. they'll have the little social media icons. I recommend adding that to your web page for sure. You also, depending on who your provider is of your website, if you have like Wix or Squarespace, you can embed like your Instagram feed into your directly into your web page. I don't know that I would recommend that specifically for attorneys. Maybe if it was a different type of business or brand, I would recommend something like that. But I think just having links to your social media on your website is fine.
Say I have a big enough firm where I've got a number of people who are writing briefs, and then maybe we can turn those briefs into articles on particular subject matters. Is there a way or a recommendation that you would have as to, besides maybe posting those articles on your web page, is there a type of social media that would be helpful to get those articles out to draw more attention to your law firm or to bring business to you?
Yes, I didn't mention this. This is a great question. I didn't mention this, but Medium is also a great place, or Substack. These are essentially like newsletter platforms where people publish newsletters, but you can see newsletters that it's like a social media platform, but for newsletters. So I would recommend either starting like a Substack or a Medium and publishing them there.
How do I get others to, like, interviewing others so that I can have their audience looking at my content? Is it good for a law firm to go talk to somebody else also in the field, or somebody in a different field that maybe can bring business over to their idea? So say if I'm a family law attorney, should I be going to speak to a probate attorney who I know has a lot of social contacts, who then might have be agreeable to post with the interview on their website, and that will attract people to my website?
Absolutely. Collaboration is great. You're exposing them to your audience. You are also in return getting exposed to their audience. And there's a number of ways that you can do this. We've done that a few times on BHBA's Instagram, where we'll do an Instagram live with someone. And then not only can our audience see the live, but that other person's audience can see the live. So Instagram lives are a great way to do that. You can also do that on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably a better way because I'm pretty sure that's where more of your professional connections are. So if you were to do a LinkedIn live with another of your colleagues who's also on LinkedIn, that would be a great way, because when you go live, everyone who's connected with you gets a follower notification. You can also do a collaborative YouTube video and share it on both of your YouTube channels if you both have it. But I would say like the easiest one and the least production heavy is just to do a live, and I would do that on LinkedIn.
How does BHBA react to, if I'm on a panel for a program? Will you allow me as a panelist to post that on my website, or is it that you have control over that content? You don't want to give that content away to others, or is it beneficial to BHBA to have others sharing it so that you get out there?
So if you're referring to our programs, I'm pretty sure we would not share. That's what
Yeah.
on demand
Okay.
is for. You're gonna have to subscribe to BHBA on demand for that. However, if it's some sort of other content that we're creating for social media, like absolutely, I'm sure that would be okay to cross share.
So if we attend events potentially and our images on an event, would BHBA be okay that we share the same photos to reference that we attended an event at
Oh, we would love
BHBA?
that. We would
Yeah.
love that. So I try to tag, well, when we post on LinkedIn, the event photos, I try to tag everyone that I recognize so that it will pop up on your feed and that you will reshare it. So absolutely. And if you are ever out at a BHBA event, to anyone who is listening, and you take some photos, feel free to send me those photos. I would love to post them and share, and tag you that you were at an event. So that would be wonderful.
I do see we have another question.
Oh, is it?
Which platform, in your opinion, is the best in reaching a bilingual English-Spanish audience?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I am just going from what I have seen. I have seen lots of people posting on Instagram in other languages. I've also seen people posting in other languages on TikTok. I don't know that I've ever seen like a bilingual post on LinkedIn. I can't say that I've ever come across this, but to answer your question, I think that you could do it on both, on any platform. I mean, given that for instance, if you write something, you can also put it in Spanish like afterwards. I've seen lots of people write something in English and then after it will be the same thing in Spanish. So you can post both. And I think that you might have a better feedback from that than just posting in one language if you are trying to demonstrate that you are bilingual, because that automatically shows that this is in English, this is in Spanish. Okay, like I think that demonstrates your proficiency in that area.
Should we be removing posts from time to time to look or changing our post to look different to keep attention to an audience? Or is it better to have more content out there and look like I've put a lot of content out there?
This is another it depends answer. When I came on for BHBA last April, I actually went through and did a deep dive and removed a lot of posts because the old stuff that was on the platform wasn't up to par with what I wanted to like showcase going forward. So I think that if you have like changed your content, like your level of production value looks very distinctive. Like you can tell, like, okay, at this date, you stepped your production value up. I can tell there's graphics, there's videos. I think that there's nothing wrong in removing that old content because especially on like Instagram, TikTok, very few people are going to scroll all the way back like years and years. They may go like a couple of weeks, but people generally aren't scrolling back years of content. So I think that there's nothing wrong with archiving old content that maybe doesn't fit anymore. You don't have to delete it. You can just archive it so it doesn't show on your page. If at any point you want to bring it back, you just unarchive it.
Is it okay to essentially do it again, but look a little bit different, dress a little bit different, but to get rid of the old content and redo it again? Or does that get to be a bit tacky depending on how much passage of time there's been between the content?
I am a believer in reinvention. I think that you can reinvent yourself as many times as you want to. So if you want to, want to go a different way with the aesthetic, I don't think that there's a limit. I think as humans, we all should be growing and trying different things and something new. So if there's like a new direction that you want to grow in, I think that it's fine to experiment. And like I said, again, put it out there and see what the reception is. If it's great, and people are like, yeah, we want to see more of this, then of course you keep creating more. And if people are like, we like the old stuff, then just go back to what you were doing.
I do want to point out that Marisol said that YouTube Shorts are becoming popular in Spanish-speaking communities.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's why she brought that up.
And we have, by the way, reached 1 hour.
Oh,
So
that went by fast.
if nobody has any further questions, we could wrap it up at this point in time, unless you've got some closing that you want to say.
I think I'll just say, if you guys have any other questions. And again, if you ever have any event pictures or things that you want to share, you can always shoot me an email. It's just bgraham, BGRAHAM @bhba.org. Feel free to message me. And yeah, this has been great.
Oh, wait, we got one last question here.
Oh,
Oh, it's just a thank you. All right.
oh,
All right.
you're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. Great job, Bella.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.